Yeah, okay.
Hello, gentlemen and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us. Apologies for the stream going down there. We had a few issues with the stream and some software that we're using, but we are back for the second race here at Zandvoort. And Ryan, we're looking at a pretty good grid so far as the qualifying was in the wet. And we're now got a dry race, so it was a pretty interesting qualifying.
Yeah, qualifying was absolutely chucking it down. It was Aquaplane Central. So after qualifying finished though, the drivers really battled it out in the wet. We had Ian Hall finish up in first, done really well to get a good lap time in the wet. Really difficult round here. Followed closely, I think it was tense, holding each driver from first to second. Everyone in second. Common Corkery following in third. James Haskell, after his victory in the reverse grid race, qualified fourth. That's still really, really good qualifying position there from James. Really good to see. Hopefully he can get up a couple of positions maybe. Tam qualified fifth, just behind James there. I'm sure he'll want some redemption after the first race. Also followed closely by E. Green. Seventh, Dustin Jeffries, and sitting there in 8th place, Ian Richards.
Yeah, so the pack, it's the same pack from the last race. Obviously, we saw Haskell have some pace sort of early on and then be able to maintain that. Now we kind of have to see if he can recreate that, or if it's just the case that he got through the traffic quicker than maybe some of the guys behind. And now he's kind of going to be fighting for, you know, would you say he's probably going to be fighting for fifth to keep fourth off the likes of Tam behind him?
I'd like to say he's got the pace to fight for third, if I'm honest. I feel like he's got the confidence as well. He showed it in race one. So I'm pretty sure he can either hold the position or even push further. But we'll have to wait and see.
That we will. So as they come round now, they're all warming the tyres up. Again, like you mentioned, Ryan, these cars don't have tyre blankets. As you can see, that's Tam Hamill going sideways to warm the tyres up. Looks like he's going to have to get back through the pack there and regain position. We do allow that in this particular series to just allow people to go and regain that track position.
I think Jamesy runs traction control off on the warm-up lap to warm those rear tyres up. I think that's why he might have chucked it round.
Okay, yeah, that would explain a lot as to why Ian Hall did a fantastic job in qualifying, as you said, in that wet, really showcasing his wet driving skills. And yeah, Ryan Brown very closely matched in the timings. Common Corkery. So I mean, you've got Ian Hall, you've got Ryan Brown, you've got Common Corkery. Those three guys currently really fighting at the top of the leaderboard. Really, Haskell's in fourth in the leaderboard, but got to say, perhaps the top three are the top three for contention for the championship right now.
Yeah, definitely Ian's going to want to try and win this race and get those championship points because he's really close behind as they're now lining up double file for the rolling start. I'll let you take this from the start, Diz.
As we've got the 8 cars coming down the grid, we've got Ethan Green running a little bit, just weaving a little bit to get those tyres warm as we go. When we've got the green flag and Ian Hall drives away, Ryan Brown on the outside, Common Corkery on the inside. Looks like he's going to have the inside to defend from Haskell, but it's Ryan Brown who actually loses out there, squeezes a little bit Common Corkery on the curb on the exit. Cars behind all get through. Dustin Jeffries running a little bit wide on the exit as well. Ian Hall leading, Ryan Brown nice and closely following behind as we go into the second sector now. And yeah, it looks like they've all got away in a nice little formation here, so they've already sorted themselves out into formation. But it's Haskell closing down on Corkery now. That's the question. Can he make some positions? Tam Hamill made a great jump there at the against Ethan Green. He's now chasing down Haskell as well. So that battle for fifth as Ethan Green actually runs off circuit, and that means Dustin Jeffries had to sort of back out a little bit there. Ian Richards at the back had to react as well a little bit from that. But Ethan Green running a little bit wide. That's actually given Dustin Jeffries the door to have a look on the outside. Will he switch that back for the inside as Ethan Green runs very much on the inside of the circuit there? And Dustin Jeffries, a great move to really try and find a gap. He's actually going to try and dive down the inside here into the chicane as we get towards the close of the last lap. He doesn't, close to the first lap. Ian Hall now driving away brilliantly, but Tam Hamill still getting loose at the back. But these 5 guys at the front, Ryan, they're really, really close. And yeah, these top 4 guys at least, it's a nice big train of cars now as they come along to finish the first lap.
Yes, mate, we're a fantastic first lap there. All the cars sticking it on track, and some absolutely brilliant racing there from everyone. These top 5 drivers here in a really, really fast train. It's going to be interesting to see who can come out on top.
Corkery's on the outside.
Corkery's wide, very wide, and also Tam as well.
That's given Haskell 3rd place. Tam actually followed Corkery there. That's something that we've seen from a few series, really, Ryan, is that drivers try to follow one another, and you know, I think we've all experienced it, that can catch you out.
Oh yeah, you're definitely watching the brake lights of the car in front of you, and you're wanting to try and brake just slightly after them, get them on the brakes. But if the car in front of you doesn't brake right, then you're just going to follow through, as like you say, and that's definitely what happened there. So I think he's going to reflect on that and hopefully try and not do that in the future. As this pack of 2 now at the front here, looking very, very close.
It has spread out a little bit there with Ian Hall pulling a slight gap on Ryan Brown, but Ryan not really taking any chances and really trying to close him back down. Haskell now in 3rd after that mistake from Corkery in turn 1. Corkery now looking back at Haskell, so that battle could go on for the rest of the race. Corkery looking like he might go and have a look at the chicane. No, he doesn't. Holds it off as we come on to the last few corners to start the 3rd lap of the race. And yeah, these guys doing a fantastic job. Even the guys at the back are doing a fantastic job of keeping up with the rest of the field. Dustin Jeffries in the Yank racing machine, and he's chasing down Green, so you know they're not far off Tam Hamill, who's just coming out the final turn. A couple of cars running wide there. Seen that quite a bit this morning, with those guys running wide a little bit on the exit of the last turn, just because of the understeer that the cars are dealing with. But Ryan Brown now 6/10 off Ian, so Ian's actually pulled a nice big gap there, Ryan, and looks as though he might be pulling away from Ryan Brown a little bit.
Yeah, Ian's definitely found some pace compared to the first race. He's actually really pulling away. I don't think Ryan's got the pace to keep up with him, it looks like, in this race. Maybe he's lost some tyre pressures, perhaps. Maybe set them up wrong from the wet qualifying and trying to get them set for the dry race. Always difficult to get the tyre pressures right, as the pack behind, the double pack behind, actually it's more like 3 pack behind. You've got James Coleman Corkery and Tam Hamill all fighting for this 3rd position.
And E Green at the back as well.
He's closing in. And yes, he is. Yeah, E Green's definitely closing in as well. If these guys battle it out, it's definitely going to slow them down, give the guys behind a back to catch up.
Absolutely. It looks like Jeffries and Richards are sort of in their own little bubble at the minute. But like you say, Ryan, when these guys all battle, that's a chance for everyone to close up.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's definitely going to give them a chance to catch up and maybe get some positions as well. Accidents as well can happen any time. Some collisions perhaps, but it's racing, of course, so we'll see what happens. Is Richards just watching now, coming around into the chicane here, just trying to keep up with the guys in front of him, but he's just gone a bit wide there.
Really struggling with the car today. No, really struggling with the car today by the looks of things. Perhaps not the best weekend for Ian Richards, but you know, doing a good job all the same, and keeping the car on circuit, coming around to finish that next lap. But But the leaderboard currently, Ian Hall in first place, pulling away now 1.1 seconds in front of Ryan Brown. James Haskell behind Ryan, he's 1.3 seconds behind. It's Coleman Corkery who's only 7/10 behind Haskell and is really looking to gain back that third place he lost at the start of lap 2 in the first corner. Tam Hamill's sort of settled back a little bit and perhaps is going to wait a couple more laps. It's a longer race this, Ryan, obviously half an hour race. 17 laps roughly. And yeah, these guys are, you know, it's a longer race. You know, it's not, you know, a race that's going to take forever, but is there a case of drivers maybe, you know, holding off a little bit and waiting for that attack sort of later towards the end of the race?
Yeah, as they say now, this isn't a sprint race, this is a marathon. You need to wait it out, try and find the time where you can, figure out where the driver in front of you is slower and really take advantage of it, because you can't just flat out everywhere because the tyres are just going to die. You really need to take your time and think about what's going on. As it looks like Corkery and James are doing really well. They're not really losing too much time to the guys in front.
It's E. Green who's actually caught up with Tam Hamill. Yeah, these two drivers really fighting it out. E. Green 13th in the seedings. Tam Hamill 4th in the seedings, but looks as though currently Green's actually shown some pace here, and this could be the first race that we're seeing Green make some massive inroads on the pack in front. Yeah,
Tam Hamill doesn't look particularly comfortable at the moment in the car. He's definitely losing some speed in some corners compared to E. Green. I think he's definitely struggling with the final corner, going wide, just trying to control the understeer as E. Green hits that curb quite hard on the inside there.
Quite throwing it over the curbs. These cars don't particularly like that curb usage, so yeah, it's surprising to see someone hitting the curb so much, but I suppose when you're trying to gain on someone, you want to use as much track as possible. So but yeah, Tam Hamill under pressure from Ethan Green, and this is a great little race from these two as the NM Racing team machine of E. Green chasing down Tam Hamill. Haskell now only 1 second behind Ryan Brown. Ryan Brown 1.5 seconds behind Ian Hall. So has Ryan made a mistake in the middle sector there, and that's actually given Haskell the chance to catch back up a little bit.
Yeah, Ryan's definitely dropping off the pace compared to Ian. He's really lost some speed somewhere. I don't know what's going on there, but this is giving James the opportunity to catch up. Already sitting in third position, a fantastic result would be anyway, but for a second place would be even better for James for the championship. As we're on board with Coleman Corkery, he's got all three of the drivers in front of him in sight. He's going to be wanting to hunt them down.
Corkery's been showcasing some real speed, as we've stated over the last few races, and he's been there, hasn't he? He's been fighting for the podiums pretty much every single race, if not in the podiums, fighting for seconds or firsts. And you know, I don't think we've actually seen him cross the line in first yet, but I'd say it's a matter of time as Haskell runs wide. That's given Corkery a little bit of a window to come back at Haskell, so that's interesting. But yeah, it looks so we've not seen Corkery pull out that win yet, but do you say it's only a matter of time with Corkery coming home with a win?
Yeah, possibly this track doesn't suit his driving style, something like that. You know, there's always something a different track will give to a driver, you know, like long sweeping corners and hard braking points. So I definitely think he's going to hit him. As you can see, he's definitely got the pace to keep up with the guys in front of him. But we'll have to wait and see, as James is actually pulling away now. Even after his mistake, he's pulling away from Coleman Corkery. So James has definitely found some pace here at Zandvoort. He's closing in actually quite heavily now with Ryan. It looks like the gap's really shortened. I think Ryan's definitely going to get his defensive gloves out. I
think you're right. I think it could be a battle here for second position. Quite surprising, really, because the guys at the front obviously seeded 1 and 2. You've got to question it whether Zandvoort's just one of them circuits that Haskell really feels at home with.
Yeah, I think this is the truth. I think Zandvoort's just one of these circuits that people find the time. I think it also gives out an equal pace in the cars. It's one of those circuits that it's quite flat, I guess. It's not really like up or down, and the braking points are quite difficult, especially like middle sector. But if you've got the pace around here, it definitely shows, as we can, I think, see from James, who's definitely got some pace around here.
Speaking of pace, guy in the lead, Ian Hall, now 1.8 seconds. It seems as though when you're the lead car here, Ryan, you have that window to be able to push. Perhaps the, sitting behind other cars does affect the driving a little bit with the car. Would you say
Yeah,
that?
the bird, yeah, definitely plays a part, I'd say. I 100% agree with you.
I think,
Sat behind the car.
I think at Monza, we didn't see that effect of dirty air because of there being so many straights and people wanting to get in the draft. But even at Zolder, sorry, things weren't crystal clear with how much dirty air was going to affect things. But obviously, there's so many corners on this circuit. Dirty air does play a massive factor.
Yeah, if you actually think about it, you're constantly turning around this circuit. There's not a time when you're actually straight on the wheel, really, when you're going round after the first sector. That middle sector onto the third sector is just corner after corner, and that dirty air is really going to hit your car and slow you down. Looks like Common Cork has closed the gap slightly here on James. And he's braking. He's got some good brakes there. It looks like he's good. Oh, he thought he was going to sneak up the inside there on chicane. That was going to be a close one. He's right on his chuff now. He can see his rear wing closing in every lap.
I'm going to see if that dirty air really does take effect. It looks as though, yeah, Corkery running a little bit wide, so that clearly means that there is a bit of dirty air going on, and Corkery's actually going to start looking here. This could be a move for the podium, Ryan.
Yeah, he's really going to try and close the gap. The slipstream there, you can see it's just working ever so slightly, coming down the straight. He's moving to the inside. I don't think he's going to get it done, though.
Haskell doing a great job of defending there.
Yeah, fantastic job, keeping it on the inside line, not leaving any windows open. We're going to see Coleman try and make a move. On board here with Dustin. Look, he's doing a really good job today. Oh, Coleman has gone a bit wide there into the hairpin.
And the guys at the front now, there's a nice big gap between the guys at the front. We've actually lost a few drivers, unfortunately. We've lost Tam Hamill. And we've lost Ian Richards due to some connection issues. So, yeah, not a great day for both of those drivers. Haskell really ran wide at Tarzan. And, yeah, it looks like Corkery's going to try and come back as they get extremely close. Oh, my gosh, that was close. These two drivers really battling out for that third podium position. Corkery trying his best to get by Haskell. But Haskell making that Ginetta probably the widest Ginetta I've ever seen. But Ryan Brown, this giving him the chance to chase down Ian Hall, even though currently it's 3-second gap to Ian Hall now. The question is, can Ryan close up on Ian, and can Corkery pass Haskell? I think those are the two big stories of this race so far.
Yeah, I think there was some contact there actually, ever so slightly, but both drivers doing fantastically well to keep it on the track. I don't think I've ever seen someone make a car so wide, even though the car is so small. So fantastic driving there from James defending. He's just trying to run away, I think, isn't he? He doesn't want to get involved in anything like this. He just wants to catch the guys in front.
Yeah, I think this is all about points for these drivers, especially with the amount of drivers that we still have in the race. It's all about just scoring some points ready for the next round and really carrying it through. Ian Hall, doing a fantastic job. 3.1 seconds in front of Ryan. I think that was the biggest gap we've seen so far at this particular event. So he's really showcasing that he does have some pace. And perhaps the last race didn't really get the chance to showcase that all that much.
Yeah, the 3-second gap, that's a big gap here in these cars. Unless something really big happens, like you spin the car, you ain't really going to get that back, or unless you find some mega pace out from somewhere. So Ian Hall, really good job there, he's doing very well. Nice and content there in the car. He's coming around the middle sector.
It's still very much, this is the closest battle on the field right now, only 5 tenths between these two drivers. We tend to sit with, the closest battle for you guys who are watching, to keep the racing alive. We don't want to see cars going around on their own. But 5 tenths of a second between Corkery and Haskell. Corkery still has the option to really go for a move, and perhaps he's waiting for Haskell to make that next mistake. You just never know, do you?
I mean, it's definitely going to be applying pressure here on James. Common Corkery's just trying to keep his nose in and show that he's still there. He's not going to give up. So I'm sure James is definitely looking in his rearview mirror every now and then. I think he just needs to keep his head down. He just needs to get going, because Ryan's only up the road, and I definitely think James could squeeze this into second if he really wants to.
So there's Ryan Brown now, sort of in his own little world here, and he has gone wide there into that corner, but I think that's actually just carrying some speed through rather than a complete running wide. His last lap though, a 1:46.2 compared to Ian's 1:45.5. So there's definitely some, as Ryan loses it a little bit on the exit of that, and that's actually going to give Haskell a little bit of a run as he's pulled away from Corkery slightly. Looks as though that hasn't affected his drive too much, but Ryan can't go making mistakes like that at this stage of the race. We've only got about 7 laps left to go. You can't go making mistakes like that this late on in the race now. It's all about keeping the car on the black stuff and getting to the end of the race.
Yeah, he was very lucky there to keep that on the track. These cars' traction control usually run quite low in the dry. They're trying to get as much traction out of those tyres as possible. So he was lucky to keep it on there. That grass will really spin the wheel up. But that's really given a chance for James and Corkery to close up. His battle behind here is looking quite good here.
Yeah, Dustin Jeffries against Ethan Green. It's only 2 seconds, or it was 2 seconds. It looks like the gap's actually shrunk now, and Green under pressure from Jeffries. Dustin Jeffries has done, like we said in the last race, done a great job, and always seems to find himself in a battle with the driver. It's a shame that we've not seen him further up the field, battling for perhaps bigger positions. But Ethan Green pulling away ever so slightly, but one second now between those two drivers.
Yeah, gap's really closing there. It's going to be interesting to see if Dustin can make a move. As Cameron, Corkery and James are still battling this out. This battle has not stopped throughout the whole race. This is really good.
Absolutely. Haskell only 1.3 seconds behind Ryan. So the top the top 4 drivers, apart from, well, I'd say the top 4, but Ian Hall, nearly 4 seconds now to Ryan Brown. So that lead is a pretty massive lead. Ryan Brown falling into the clutches of Haskell. Corkery holding on to the tailcoats of Haskell. So these 3 drivers, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, you know, they're all looking to score points as high as they can and potentially a podium. Haskell currently on for his 2nd podium of the season at the same weekend that he scored his first race win. So, you know, could he claim a podium, or could Corkery, who is clearly the faster driver here, could he claim back that podium that he lost at the beginning of the race? We'll wait and see as we pan out, as we've got about 6 laps left of this race, and it's getting pretty hot under the collar, as these guys are really fighting it out. Yeah, Haskell, Corkery, Ryan Brown, those 3 guys really fighting it out. Jeffries still 1 second behind Ethan Green, so Ethan Green not pulling away, although Dustin Jeffries' last lap was a 48.3, his best is a 47.0, so he's definitely got another second in that car, and could actually close on Green. So we're going to stick with these guys for just a moment. We'll keep an eye on the relatives above for you guys, just in case there's a battle going on between the guys up front. So Corkery is going to be closing up on Haskell, but might not make a move particularly at this point. Jeffries starting to hunt a little bit on Ethan Green, now less than a second. If there was DRS, Ryan, this would be that would be fair game for someone to go cracking open that wing and try and make that overtake. But of course, with these GT4 cars and GT3 cars, most tin top races, Ethan Green goes round.
Ethan Green's lost
and he saved it. He saved it somehow, but that has given Dustin Jeffries the chance to drive away. Ethan Green isn't going to hold up and let him get that, though. So this could still be a battle here, because he got loose through that corner then, and then managed to keep it. Dustin Jeffries had to wait a moment, but somehow managed to get past him nice and cleanly.
Yeah, that was close there from both drivers. Hopefully Green hasn't heated up his rear tyres too much, because these things definitely rely on a good tyre temperature. We'll hope that you can stick it on track as Corkery's closing in here on James, coming to the last chicane. James and Corkery doing really well at the moment. They're both everyone's actually really consistent, I'd say, today. There's not really been too many self-made accidents.
No.
Did just see E Green made a bit of a mistake there, but that's all as Corkery gets slightly squiggly there. It's kept it going though.
That gap now at the front for Ian Hall, 4.4 seconds. I mean, that's a massive statement of intent for the rest of the championship from Ian Hall to the likes of Ryan Brown and Coleman Corkery. Ryan Brown obviously leading the championship at the moment. Will be leading the championship, no doubt, once he comes out of this race, with the fact that we don't have Daniel Chavez with us this weekend, with us this morning, sorry. So, yeah, you know, is this a statement of intent from Ian Hall that, look, I have the pace and I am coming for you, it's just that I need that right moment and that right time to score those points?
Yeah, looking at the live championship standings right now, so as we are at the moment, Coleman Corkery will be put to second in the championship as we stand right now, and James Haskell will then be fourth in the championship. So I don't think the drivers are going to know this right now, but Coleman Corkery, sat where he is at the moment, is in a good position for the championship still. Yeah. But I think on track he definitely wants the high position. I mean, everyone would do. You want to get past, you want to get the high position, you want to prove that you're quick. But if James can make this stick as well, this is going to move him up high in the 4th position in the championship. So he's going to be really close contention with other drivers if he can make this stick.
And of course, we've got a few races left of this season. Our next race from here, we head over to the US of A for the race at Laguna Seca. Unfortunately, a few drivers won't be attending that particular race, but we're expecting a decent turnout and some fast drivers potentially fighting for the win there at a circuit that really, again, showcases these cars quite well. It's quite a tight circuit, much like this circuit. So are we seeing perhaps the drivers that are doing well in this race probably going to do well at Laguna?
Yeah, I'd like to say so. This track's very much like Laguna. Literally, you just got the white line and then you've got gravel. Like Laguna, it's exactly the same. Oh, Ryan gets a bit wide there. The Laguna, you just got white line and then just sand. It is. You have to be so on point at Laguna. If one tiny mistake and you're just off the track and you ain't coming back on quick anyway. So I think this is going to give the drivers a good sight into what's to come at Laguna.
Back on board with back with Ethan Green and Dustin Jeffries. That gap only 5/10. The gap for the rest of the field now, Ryan, more than a second between every car. So the consistency perhaps starting to waver. The tyres maybe starting to struggle a little bit, and the drivers maybe starting to get a little bit tired. It is a very demanding circuit. This, you are pretty much on it from the green flag to the checkered because of the amount of turns. If you get one turn wrong here, it's a massive amount of time lost, especially if you hit the gravel or the grass, much like you say at Laguna. But this circuit can really punish you if you get it wrong, as Ethan Green running a little bit wide and gets a little bit loose on the exit there. He's going to fall back to Dustin Jeffries, so he's doing a great job, is Ethan Green, but currently right now last place, although not completely last. Obviously we had 2 retirements, but P6 isn't the worst position, but it could be a better outcome for him if he hadn't made a mistake. He's made another mistake there, lost the back end coming through the hairpin, so perhaps struggling with those hot tyres that you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, definitely this late on in the race, those tyres are going to be a bit scorched and wearing away, losing grip every now and then. As you can see, as he came through the middle sector, just squiggling. As well, still think the dirty air as well is going to play a part. You're not going to get as much downforce as you would do if you're just floating in free air. But both drivers doing really well. As we're looking at the gap now up front, looks like it's spread a bit, and actually James is closing in and hunting down Ryan. It looks like now I think Ryan's really struggling here.
I think you're right. I think that gap has gone from 1.5 seconds to 8/10. Corkery's keeping up, but Haskell, I think, has got the bit between his teeth. Looks like he's chasing down. Ryan Brown towards the end here. Could this be potential for him to chase down that second place on the podium? Maybe move himself up the order.
He's going to want it. He's really going to want it. If he can get a first and a second in the same weekend, that would be a brilliant result for James. I mean, he's close right up now on the back of Ryan. He's absolutely on his rear bumper.
Are we going to see some moves here from Haskell? Haskell, the type of person that seems to make those moves, really showing his nose there, really showing a statement of intent. Perhaps some mind games playing from both of these drivers as to when they will defend and when they will attack. That's something that most drivers do, Ryan, is the showing of the nose but not going for the move, to sort of play that mind game a little bit.
Yeah, you could almost play the mind trick that you're going to go left, you're going to go right, and make the move the opposite direction. We've seen that done a couple of times in other races. James is seen just poking his nose out onto the inside just to show that he is there and he wants to get past. Bearing any mistakes, it's going to be tricky to get past, I think.
Absolutely.
James is really going to pick his chance and his time to make the move.
It is very difficult to get past on, but looks like he is really hunting down Ryan Brown here. This is a fantastic little battle towards the end of the race. We've got 2 laps left to go. 1 lap left to go after this lap. Ian Hall has driven away. 5, nearly 6 seconds gap now. Really dominated this race. Started first, drove away 7 seconds the gap now. 7 seconds from Ian Hall. So a really strong race from Ian Hall. But the battle for second and third is still going on, and it looks like it could go right down to the wire.
Yeah, I mean, this is so close here between the second, third, and fourth. It's anyone's race at this point. I mean, anything can happen. As Ryan's trying to keep that inside line there, doesn't want to leave any doors open. But this could be anyone's podium here. We could end up with Corkery finishing second if something big happens here.
We sit on board with Corkery now as we watch Haskell and Ryan Brown in front. I mean, it's close between these 3 drivers. It's a fantastic little train of cars. Haskell runs a little bit wide there, and actually he's gone wide. He's going to lose out. This could be a chance for Corkery to come back. That was a really bad place to go wide. He's had to let off a little bit, and Haskell perhaps didn't have to do that. So has Haskell saved himself there? Are we going to see? It looks like Corkery's not going to get back at him. Yeah, it looks as though Corkery's got the goods there.
Ryan's gone wide.
Ryan has gone wide, but looks like he saves it. Corkery closes in on Haskell, but wow, I mean, this is a close race, especially as we head onto the final lap of the race now.
This is going to be close the whole way around. This is the chance. This is the only chance for James to make a move. He's definitely close enough to get the time to make the move. He's really close. It's just going to be where he can make it, because the track's very narrow. The cars are narrow as well, but finding the space to make the move is really difficult. I think Ryan just needs to keep his head down and defend as much as he can do. It looks like he's trying to take the inside lines, trying to cover it off.
Let's not put Corkery out of this situation, though. He's still there at the back. If these two come together in the final couple of corners, Corkery could be there, and that could be, the end of the race for these two, and a second position for Corkery if that happens. So, we don't like to jinx things here, but that could happen as Ian Hall, coming around the final couple of corners now, will sit on board with him in just a moment when he comes across the start-finish line. But yeah, it looks as though Ryan Brown is going to hold off Haskell ever so slightly as Ian Hall comes through the final corner. A fantastic drive from the Euro Enduro Motorsports driver, and a fantastic, strong opposition win for him as he crosses the line to come home first. But it's the cars behind. We've got Ryan Brown. He's going to come home second. He fought extremely hard, and extremely ecstatic drive there from Ryan Brown. What a great race from those drivers. Haskell in third place, and it looks as though those drivers really quite happy And they're doing a little bit of a formation there. Ian Hall in first, Ryan Brown in second, Haskell in third. What a fantastic race from all the drivers as we get the last couple of drivers crossing. Actually, Green managed to get past Jeffries there at the
Green's
end.
got past Jeffries.
So
Brilliant
what a
racing.
fantastic race from everybody. And yeah, I mean that's the end of that race, Ryan. What's your opinions on things as we were?
I mean, starting the race off, it was close the whole way round. I don't think there was a time when there was less than a 2 second gap between the cars at the front. I mean, Ian Hall did fantastic, just ran away throughout the whole race. He had great pace the whole way. A really good congratulations to him for the win. It's going to push him up in the championship. And I think we're going to have to say driver of the weekend is definitely got to be James Haskell. I mean, his first win and then a podium in the second race, really well fought. You know, I don't think we've seen any other driver do that yet. Have such like a comeback compared to all the races he's had, and had a really good result for the whole weekend. So really well done to him. Rest of the drivers as well done really well. I think the championship standings now are a bit mixed, so it's going to be interesting going into the next race at Laguna Seca to see who comes out on top.
Absolutely, it's been a fantastic race here as we're looking back at some fantastic shots from this morning's racing. It's been a fantastic race, guys, and it's been a fantastic race, Ryan, and thank you for sitting with us, and thank you for bearing with us as we had a few technical difficulties earlier on in the sessions. Ryan Brown there getting really high over those curbs and doing a fantastic job to come home second. Haskell coming home in third, but your winner for this feature race and taking a win into the next rounds at Laguna next week is Ian Hall. Congratulations to Ian Hall, and yeah, thanks very much to everybody who's joined us for today. Ryan, thank you very much for joining me in the commentary box as always.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Really love doing it. Hoping to enjoy the next time.
This has been the Crs Gt4 Ginetta series, sponsored by 3Drap, which is mods. You get all your mods, your braking mods, your steering mods from 3Drap, a great company that have sponsored this series. Thanks to them again for the massive sponsorship that they have given this series. And yeah, we go on to Laguna next week. Ryan, what's your thoughts on going into next week?
Yeah, Laguna's really going to give some good racing, I think. Like I said before, it's a really, really important track to be focused on. Can't make any mistakes. Of course, the infamous corkscrew corner, the downhill chicane, I think that's going to give some really good, interesting racing overtakes there. I expect we're going to see some people diving in there, hoping to make it stick. Even the midway just before the corkscrew, got that left kink. That's a really, really treacherous corner. Drivers going to need to be really careful there.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be an interesting race.
As we look at the leaderboard going into the next round at Laguna next week, we can see that the top four now, Ian Hall in fifth there in the championship. Ryan Brown still leading. Coleman Corkery is going to be carrying ballast into the next round at 30 kilograms. Obviously, the top three drivers have been carrying that ballast pretty much for the last few races. Ryan Brown has been carrying 45 kilos for the last few races, so we can't forget that, you know, he's actually done a great job to gain some podiums, even despite having that much weight inside the car. It's quite impressive. Coleman Corkery, like I say, carrying that 30 kilograms of ballast into the next round. Daniel Chavez wasn't here for this race, moves himself down to third in the championship. It's James Haskell, who's going to go to Laguna Seca as probably the most favoured driver with no ballast at a circuit that's very similar to the circuit we've just been at. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Tam Hamill down in sixth, fighting with Ian Hall, but can he make a comeback towards the end of the season? Dustin Jeffries, E. Green and Ian Richards, your final few drivers from tonight who showed up, and you know what, they did a fantastic job. E Green coming home just in front of Dustin Jeffries there and actually closes up in terms of points. But Dustin Jeffries does have 1 race extra on E Green in terms of points, so he's got a lot to do. But Ian Richards, yeah, Ian Richards has really struggled, I think, retired out of a few races there. But yeah, what a great race. And yeah, thanks to everybody. Thanks to you, Ryan. And we'll leave you now with some adverts. Thanks very much, and we'll catch you again for the next round at Laguna next week.